Welcome back to Video Review. Aaron Cavagnola here with Zach Collier, and we're watching Barry Cruz's video of South Fork of the American, the Slab Creek Run, which is just upstream from the well-known commercial run. They've got about 1,100 CFS today, and we're gonna check out their runs. Ooh, that's a nice little pivot into there. Looks good.
Yeah, and this one's really fun for us to do because it's paddle boating. We haven't done one paddle boating yet.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And both Aaron and I love paddle boating, and so we
Mm-hmm.
appreciate good paddle boating.
Yeah. Well, these guys look good. I mean, they look in control. Yeah. A nice back ferry there.
So have you done Slab Creek before, Aaron?
Yeah,
This
it's been a
section?
long time
Yeah,
ago.
I did
Took it to a paddle boat actually.
Yeah, I did it once at pretty low water. So this looks actually a lot more fun than what we did it at.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty solid run. This is pretty solidly class 4+. And these long rapids, a swim would be kind of gnarly.
So far, we haven't seen anyone take their hands off their paddle tees at all, which is good. People are good at pivoting and keeping their spot in the boat, but like as they go down, so they can still paddle and be in a good position to paddle. If you want to stop it, Zach, next time we can see their feet. Like that right there. Can you stop it?
Yeah.
What's interesting is like the way they're sitting in the front of the boat. You notice that they got their feet in the foot cups, and they're really not using that thwart at all. Which it's interesting watching them go down. Like usually, I'll have that back foot like slammed underneath the corner of the thwart and have my front foot in the foot cup, but that seems to be working for them pretty well. They seem pretty nice and forward on that.
Yeah, it's the double foot cup up front. I think that's pretty sweet. And they're sitting on the outside too, which is where you should be sitting. I think a lot of people end up sitting that little space between the thwart and the outside of the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that they're sitting on the boat itself so they can get out there and paddle.
Yeah, totally. All right.
The other thing, his commands he uses, you may or may not hear in the background there, he uses forward, back, right turn, and left turn. So a lot of people say right back or left back, right forward. He does the right turn to turn the boat to the right. What do you think about that?
Well, that's my preferred route. I like as many of the commands starting with a different word as possible and keeping the commands as short as possible. So if you make a longer command and you have to stop it, more quickly to go to the next one, it's hard. Like right turn, stop. You can just keep them short commands.
I'm the same way. I think though I'm guessing we learned from the same school that Barry did, that sort of school of thought, that California paddle boating, where it's a lot more just right turn.
Yeah.
You have to kind of prep your crew.
Yeah.
And you have to prep your crew. You can't just be casual. You got to practice it before you go. But once you do, it's super effective.
Yeah. Yeah, looking good. They're having great lines down everything here. And people are doing a good job holding their spots in the boat. Barry's doing a good job in back. I'm assuming this is Barry of not getting thrown around in back. He's not way up on the back, but he's not down too. Oh, there you go, sitting down the bottom. That's
so. This is a near wrap. This is a sweet part of the video. So we were talking about right turn, left turn. He also uses the command over left and over right. So instead of calling high side here, which is what a lot of people learn, he calls over left and over right, saying what side to go to. So I'll go back a second. We're going to see him here in a second. He's going to call an over right to high side against the rock. I know you're a big fan of over left and over right.
Yeah, can we hold there for a second and talk about this too? Like, yeah, huge fan of the over left and over right, because I think the high side command a lot of times is confusing to people. For example, on sterns on the Tuolumne, there's these two big rocks and the rafts will get bridged sideways between them. And a lot of times they'll get bridged sideways in such a way that the raft's actually kind of pointed. So the high side of the raft is the upstream side, and the guys will yell high side, and people jump on that upstream tube. And I've seen this happen, I don't know, a dozen times, and they push it down, then it catches water and flips over. And so, a lot of times when you're always wanting to do an over pretty much to the downstream side. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, if you're doing a good over, you're doing it before it becomes the high side. So a lot of times it's actually, as you're falling into the rock, like here they're doing it afterwards, so it's the high side, which is a little bit late, and they're lucky there's only 4 of them in this raft. If this was a full boat of 7 people, there's a high probability this thing wraps or flips. But the boat's so light, it's going to float up a little better. Another note here is I'm also a big fan of when you do your overs, like the guys trying to get over there, of really training your crew to get their weight all the way up on that tube, not down in the middle. If you're down on the floor, your leverage is different and it pushes that upstream tube down the water more. If you get your weight all the way up on that downstream tube, it'll push the downstream tube down the water and allow that upstream tube to come up a lot better. So I mean, this is good enough, but I would say if a bunch of people were like the dude there in the middle, they'd be in trouble. You know, if like everyone on that side, if there are 2 people behind them, they're all kind of in the middle of the boat, high probability they'd swim, boat would wrap, boat would flip. So.
And this boat would have wrapped if they hadn't gotten over. I mean, that tube is catching water already. This is the beginning of a wrap. His over right is the difference between wrapping and not wrapping.
Mm-hmm.
It's just absolutely the case. And they get over that tube. You see it right there. That tube resurfaces, and then it comes around. I mean, that's how high sides are supposed to work. We'll go through it again because it's so cool. This video. Thanks, Barry, for sharing this. I mean, they go down. That boat wants to go underwater. They go over right.
And they're quick. They're quick getting up there too.
Yep.
They jumped up quick. Yeah.
And allowed that tube to resurface, and it came off. It was. That's how it's done right there. And like I said, if they don't high side, this thing wraps.
And yeah,
Zach,
another thing I'm gonna say too is they've got nice big tubes on that boat, and that makes a big difference. If it was like one of the normal standard 14-foot SOTARs, that'd be a lot nicer than that boat. That boat's nice and stable. That's a good choice of boat for the run they're doing today.
Yeah, like those big. So you're saying the big diameter tubes make it harder for water to get over, and so it gave them a little bit more time before water just took that tube underneath and put that tube underwater.
Yeah, exactly.
when you over Aaron, would the guy in the front go in front of the girl in the front? Do you like that he went behind her in the boat, or do you send him more to the bow?
I think you're confused. I think is that a girl in the front right position, or is that a guy? First of all, because there's a girl
in the front right. I think it's a girl, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's a guy.
Okay.
I can't tell right here. I'm just guessing.
Yeah. Okay. I was just getting confused because I usually go in front, but this case that might work. For me, the bigger thing that I would note is their hands are off the paddle tee here. And I'll say when training over rights and over lefts, I like to train it and really hammer keeping your hand on the paddle tee the entire time, going over, and then you can come back with it. And it works better if you go in front of the person across from you, because then you can push off the tube easier. And I think jumping behind, it's a lot harder to hold on to your paddle tee. But that's one of my little
paddle tees it's a good pet peeve.
Yeah.
This looks tricky. This one looks tricky. Nice move through there though. And on Slab Creek, this section rarely gets water. So this is a release that American Whitewater negotiated. So there's more trees and bushes in this river because it rarely sees higher flows. I love having the cameras both ways.
Yeah.
Same thing again. I mean, he sees that rock. He calls it pretty early, actually.
Yeah.
He sees this rock coming up. He calls it before they hit the rock.
Or is that for the hole? Maybe that was for the hole too. I think that was for the hole. They were about getting surfed in the hole.
But again, they went over.
Yeah.
It kept that tube up and it bounced right around. That's how it's supposed to work.
They're athletic. They move well. Yeah. Hey, what's your feeling on those paddles, the NRS paddles? Have you used those much versus the Carlisle?
I think the Carlisles are better. I think these probably cost less.
Yeah, I feel like the Carlisle hold up there. I think these look really good when they're new, but like I feel like they fade out a little faster and they just seem to get more fragile. And they, like I've noticed for commercial use, private use, I think it'd be fine, but yeah, I'm not as big a fan of them for the commercial.
Same thing right here. This
was a nice. And now once again,
beautiful.
Up front, those two are doing a really good job getting their weight up on that tube, and the other person's jumping in front this time, like you talked about.
Yeah,
she's doing a good job holding on her paddle tee. It'd be nice if she got her weight up onto that tube versus hunkering down in the bottom. I mean, she probably weighs 120 pounds, so it's not a big deal. But
so I mean, that's not a girl in the front. It is a dude in the front, so I was wrong. But I think I like the idea of launching forward. Like if you're in the front, you're like, it's easier to move forward and come back to that spot than go back to the side. So I like the idea of like going in front of the person next to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this boat, it's that tubes, it just can't, because they're overing, it just can't get over that tube.
Yeah.
Because it has so much buoyancy and the weight's pushing the boat down. So it's a great example of that working.
That was a nice over. And I think that's the thing. You do a great over, you can hit some pretty messed up spots sideways if you do a good over, particularly if you do the over before you hit the feature, before you hit the rock or before you hit the wave and get your weight off that upstream tube early. It makes a big difference versus after it catches water, it's much more challenging. Oh, that's a big hit. Yeah, Barry does a nice job of dropping down back there too. So he's not up on the back. He kind of slides down a little bit and takes the hit and then gets back up there.
I mean, for me, I look at him right now in the back of the boat. You can just tell by the way he paddles in about 3 seconds. He holds the paddle in a certain way.
Yeah.
He's in the boat. I can just tell right away he's a good guide. I mean, sometimes people get in the back of the boat, you're like, oh man, they don't have a lot of time back there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he
Just
has
like,
good.
yeah.
He's well
Yeah.
positioned back there. Holds the paddle well. Although that paddle does seem a little short for him.
I like that. I'm all about, I use a customer paddle to guide with. I'm a big fan
I
of that.
do a lot, but I like one that's like 3 or 4 inches longer, just because you're sitting up higher in the back usually.
Well, see, I don't sit up that high. I sit even lower than he does. I'm like
Yeah.
hugging that thwart. I'm stuffed
That's
in
true.
deep.
You're like sitting in the bottom.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like, yeah, like if I can reach over the side tube and just do my strokes from there, and then that's my preferred technique. But yeah.
And let's just talk
So
about this boat for a second before
yeah,
we go on, Aaron.
that's
This
we
is
talked about. Go, yeah, go ahead.
so this boat, Barry, it's a custom boat. You can probably tell by the colors, and Sotar likes custom. And it's a 14.6, generally based off the Cherry Creek designs,
Is it?
which don't
It
have,
looks like
yeah,
it.
it's somewhat based off them. So there's not a lot of rocker in the bow and the stern, which is not common for Cherry Creek boats. And it has a pretty wide bow and stern too. So
Yeah.
it's a 14.6 kind of modeled after that boat.
Well, those wide front and back tubes are really nice if you go over drops and you don't hit it straight. If you hit a little bit of an angle,
Yep.
it's less likely to. Yeah, and
Yep.
the other thing what was the other? One thing I do notice is he only seems to have. I guess he maybe has a second spare paddle, that paddle that's sticking up in the air. But I
Mhm.
like to on a paddle bed have two spare paddles in general.
Well, the paddle sticking up in the air is his GoPro, first of
Yeah.
all.
Does that
And
count as
then,
a spare paddle?
sure, yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
he can get it off. I don't know. I mean, it's another paddle.
Yeah.
And then I see one paddle rigged,
Yeah.
but I could see you need 4 paddles, and you could flip and lose a couple. So I could see having 2 or 3. I'd probably bring 2 or 3.
Well, I like just two in a boat just to begin with, just because if everyone loses their paddle and you flip a boat back over, if you've got two paddles in the boat,
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? It works pretty well.
yep.
So yeah, not
And
that he's
then
gonna
going back to paddles, you were asking about the NRS paddles earlier. I think I would love to have Sawyer paddles right now. So,
Sawyer.
yeah, I think like having a light, strong, stiff Sawyer paddle, I mean, it costs more money, but if you have the money to buy some Sawyer paddles instead of some cheap plastic ones.
Really, you're a fan of the Sawyer. That's interesting. I like the Sawyer a lot. I think though I like the Warner fiberglass ones a lot too. I
Yeah.
like the flex on those.
Yep.
But that being said, like for a one day in California, these are my favorite paddles because I don't care about them. You know
Oh,
what I
like if you
mean?
lose them, you won't worry. Like
Whatever. Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
a pretty legit section of river.
Yeah.
You could theoretically lose paddles pretty easily.
Yeah.
So losing a Sawyer would be a bummer. You are technically littering when you lose your paddles, which you're not
Somebody
following
always finds it. Somebody finds it, and then
no,
they're stoked.
tell yourself that you're not you following the leave no trace principles that we typically abide by when you just leave paddles everywhere.
So Zach, if every paddle I use I found on the river, does that count for
Mhm.
leaving a trace? If I lose them again, then I'm okay.
If you find an equal number of paddles as you lose, you're good. I'm
Okay.
going to give you that. I don't
Okay.
know if that's the case. This section, you can take out here or go down a few, like I think 2 more miles too. And there's one big rapid downstream. I'm not sure where they take out, but we're basically in this rapid that's pretty big. This last rapid before, I think it's Mosquito Bridge, if I remember right. It's a pretty
We haven't
legit
talked much
rapid.
about, but I really like the angles he's used today too. Like he's
Yeah.
like a nice angle here, working way across. I feel like he's not using the paddlers too much. He called some get downs back there. We forgot to talk about. Oh, there's another get down right there. Yeah, that's nice. They kind of got down the bottom of the boat. I'm a huge fan of the get down. I love that command. I think right here, it makes the boat much more stable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, this is an example of a video where there's not really much bad stuff to point out. Like it's all good. We probably should be pointing out all the really awesome things he's doing because it's pretty impressive.
call it over right now. Oh, they don't need it. Wow, look at that. Oh wow.
This is this one's
Wow, that was a nice
getting this
line.
right is
Wow.
tough.
Wow, that's
That was
beautiful.
beautiful for how
Yeah.
difficult that rapid is.
Yeah, it was a nice line.
The only thing is that throw bag up in the front, you can see there's a potential place to have a hand get stuck in there the way those salamander throw bags hang, but
Really,
that's a detail.
I'm not I'd be more concerned about the gates on the carabiners be out and open and unlocked. Like,
It's a detail because we said so many positive things. I thought I'd point out something that
yeah,
isn't perfect. And I see two paddles right there. Oh, that was the third paddler probably, who she's
yeah.
maybe walking this rapid or whatever. So that's probably that other person. It's a big rapid. Well, cool, Aaron. Thanks for doing another one of these.
Yeah, it was fun. There's,
Yes,
yeah, we didn't even talk about their spacing. Their boat spacing was good too. Look at that.
it's good here, but we don't see the other boat any other time.
Maybe, maybe are they behind them after that? What
Right
happens?
here. So I mean, this is like the kind of boating that you and I learned on, like
Yeah,
California, class 4, continuous, pool droppy. You know, you enter rapids together typically. This is the kind of boat spacing that you and I
yeah.
feel like learned and like a lot. So I'm pretty stoked on their boat spacing here, but we don't see the boat in front after this. So maybe they go in second.
Yeah. Will we be able to see when they switch around? Yeah, it's weird how we stop seeing them.
Yeah, I think they switch position. I'm guessing,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of times you'll do the first rapid and then hey, I go faster, you go slower. Can we switch spots?
And that's true. You know, the R2 in general is going to go, in general, R2s go a little slower
So maybe they
before.
decided to switch spots. I just, you know, I get nervous. You know, that's 4 people. If they
Mhm.
flip, that's 4 swimmers. There's nobody downstream. It is California style where there's
Yeah.
typically pools at the bottom. So if people are good swimmers, they can swim to shore typically. But if I was commercially guiding lead paddle boat with 2 boats and I don't know what my swimmers are going to do, I'd be super nervous running in the lead on a run like this.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, another good episode, Aaron. Thanks
Yeah,
for
that
doing
was
it.
fun.